Well, good evening. This is Eric and H again. Welcome to the show, another show series. This is iHealth Radio and the iHealth channel. For those of you who are listening live on the radio, iHealth Radio. And then for those of us watching currently, this is the live feed on the iHealth channel on YouTube, and soon enough it will be broadcast in other platforms, Facebook and a few others. So as I had said, before, there will be a lot of talk shows, different topics, different themes. We've covered a couple before, and today at this moment, we'll be sharing a new theme and a new show, and introducing this particular show for the first time. And then of course there will be a series of it, and within that theme and this particular show we'll be discussing a lot of elements and pertaining specifically to insurance sales, insurance agents and brokers. So this particular show is called Broker World, and everything that has to do with broker, how you become a broker, what is a broker, what are the advantages of becoming a broker, what different types of brokers you can have, how can you actually work with a helpline as a broker, can you work independently, can you work as an agent, and so on and so forth, and then ultimately during the other future shows, we'll talk about regulations in detail, licensing and all that stuff. But today we'll give a general introduction, overview of what a broker is, and how they can work, how you, whether you're a consumer or an actual existing broker, or someone that's working in the insurance world or any other type of sales that want to transfer into the actual health insurance sales. So again, we're still within the health realm, the health topics and the health world. And again, this is just a component, something that I've worked with, and I started actually my career path as one. And so I just wanted to actually have this specific theme because throughout the years and throughout my career, I've had the pleasure to working with a lot of agents and brokers out there, and agencies, FMOs, and these are acronyms that I'll start throwing, but I'll be breaking down each and every one of those acronyms and what they stand for and how they operate, how they interact with agencies and health plans, and so on and so forth. So that being said, with the next item on this particular topic is, what is a broker? Well, basically, it's just an individual or an agency that actually operates on behalf of somebody else, and basically, to sell a certain product, for them to prospects. And that's just the dummy version of it. I mean, Wikipedia has a similar, version of it. Now, from a licensing or from a legal aspect of it, there's a special agency, relationship between the actual agent and the actual consumer, and there's a vicarious liability based on the plan or whoever is recruiting that particular broker. Technical terminology, but that's not really the core of it. The key here is to remember that a broker is just an individual that is actually working on behalf of somebody else, an agency, a health plan, an FMO, and basically they are the ones who will be producing a product or service and presenting it to a consumer, and ultimately assisting that consumer to buy that particular product. And so there are a lot of ways you can become a broker. Of course, the term a broker is not just related or restricted into the insurance world or health insurance specific. There are brokers that do all kind of stuff, right? I mean, from business trade to actual real estate and so on and so forth. All those are types of brokerages and brokers, but we are going to specifically talk about the opportunity within the insurance world and health plans, and how someone can become an agent and a broker. And what is the difference? So somewhat in the insurance world, those two words kind of work the same. We refer to ourselves as agents or brokers, depending how you actually announce it. An agent, again, it's the same thing. You are responsible and working for somebody else. And as a broker, it's the same definition pretty much. And so you, as a particular potential prospect that is interested in becoming an agent or a broker, or if you know someone that is interested to do so, there are certain steps that you have to take in order for you to become one affiliated with an agency or a health plan. Pretty much everybody eventually will wind up working for a health plan or with multiple health plans. In the previous show, we talked about senior health, and there was a segment there we discussed, how licensing and how the brokers are licensed, and they're scrutinized and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about that more in details today. So again, there are different options. One person can be working directly for a plan, and ultimately they are captive agents, so they work as employees, and they basically work within the realm of a policy of the company. They go through the HR process as a W-2, as an actual full FTE. Full-time employee. And then you have the option of someone working for a health plan or multiple health plans as an independent, so directly contracting with them as an agent of the health plan, or they can work through an agency or an actual field marketing organization or an FMO. And if that is the case, they basically work through the agency channel upline and then into the health plan. So what does it take to actually become an actual agent or broker? Well, first of all, and who is qualified for it? Qualification wise, pretty much everybody can become a broker or an agent in the insurance world. There are certain, steps that someone has to take. Ultimately, there is, you have to, there's no real education limit or minimum requirement. Typically, if you have a high school, you can apply, or GED type, you can actually apply for the actual insurance license through the specific state that you reside in, and multiple states if you just choose to work in various states, or if you want to do telesales. Sometimes telesales agents, they actually work in multiple states, so they have to have multiple licenses in different states. So, and we'll talk about the few states that are surrounding where I am, so New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then, but very similar across all the nation. And you could actually be licensed in all of the states if you wanted to, and we'll talk about how that works. So, first things first, you will have to do some pre-licensing classes, and to get an actual prep for the state examination. So the pre-licensing classes are available through approved schools. Some colleges offer these classes, and there are also private schools in the marketplace in different cities and states. Also, there's online courses available through different providers. You register for those courses. The cost is very, affordable in terms of licensing. So, pre-licensing schooling, you'll go in, you register on their website, you pay a fee that could be ranging from like $70 to like a couple $100, and it includes your books, your simulator test, and you can do it at your own pace if it's online. And ultimately, when you meet the certain requirements, and each state has similar or close enough, regulations, but typically you have a minimum of hours that you have to attend, and at the end of which you have to actually take an actual school exam. When you get approved and passed, and it's a pass or fail at 70. So you have 70 plus, you pass, you have 70 less, you redo it again. There's no limits to how many takes you can take your license or your pre-licensing, and as well as your licensing. Some schools may have their own restrictions and like how many times before you can pay again, but at the end of the day you can do it again. And while it is not an easy course, and it is not an easy test to take or an exam to take, even at the state exam, it is attainable if someone really focuses on the content, pays attention to the content that is being given to them in a classroom setting or online. That's all the different practice tests and quizzes that they have. They should be able to get through that particular course, ultimately pass the actual school exam or the online examination. When you do, you'll get an actual certificate. That certificate is entitling you now to actually apply for the state exam. You do apply through the local state exam or Department of Insurance for your own specific state. Some states, they use a different third party, or NIPR or NIPR, National Insurance Provider. There's an actual site. You go in, you look at the state, and you can actually apply there. That's just some states. And in some states, for example, in New York, you actually go to the Department of Insurance or TFS, and you'll be able to actually apply through them. There's a licensing opportunity there. You book an exam, and you have the exam. You go to a proctor's location. It's an online. You have to actually have your fingerprints. You do a little background and all that stuff. And once you take the exam, if you pass, you basically get your license. And there are different licenses. You can get an LA or an LB, licensed agents, licensed broker. There's some differences, in terms of some plans want one versus the other. But at the end of the day, it's the same process, the same thing. You just apply. You can have both. And there's a cost for those things. Again, it's a couple, less than between $100 and $150 to $200, depends on the state. It's not an expensive actual test. It's not an expensive, process. So from start to finish, it's a couple $100, $200 to $300, in terms of investment. But it's worth the investment, because once you get your license, you are pretty much, a hot commodity. Everybody wants to have you. Everybody wants to hire you as an agent, and there is a reason for that. In the senior health program that I covered last couple of days, I talked about, health plans and agents and how we have to present to people and to seniors and break down the information to them and so on and so forth. And we have to be qualified to do so and all that stuff. So therefore, we do need people to do that, whether on the phone, in person, and also someone that is actually going to be interacting in the community with the prospects in the Medicare world, and in other types of insurance sales. You can also you'll be required to have the actual licenses. Now, there are different licenses that you can register for. Typically for health insurance, there's accident and health licensing, and that's the one that you will take if you wanted to become an actual insurance agent with health plans and Medicare government programs and any other type like ACA sales and stuff like that. However, some people choose to also do live and health or live and accident health, depends on the state. That gives you an additional licensing or licensure for your life insurance products. So you can sell life insurance and health insurance. There's other licenses and other brokerages, property and casualty. That's a different type of sale. These are the people that do like property insurance and other types of car insurance, so on and so forth. That's a different realm. We're not going to discuss that today. But certainly for insurance agents, the start is simple. You apply, to a school, you register at the school, you take the courses that are required, minimum hours, you take an examination at the school, you pass, you register for state exam, you pass, you have a license. Now you start a different process, which is, onboarding, certifications for the health plans and their requirements, and then going through the whole process at that point, until which point you become ready to sell. Referred to as RTS. So let me go back and track back. So now what is the opportunity? Why would someone be interested in selling insurance? There was a time on Facebook I had put an article or a post rather about, hey, you could make this kind of money, and someone responded to me and, stop giving people hope and tell them that you're going to make all this kind of money. Well, it is, first of all, a career. It is a professional career. You can make quite a bit of money. You can become independent. You can have your own agency. You can actually, as a licensed person or agent, you can also still move up in the ladder in terms of management at a helpline level or at an agency level. Either way, there's a lot of areas of growth and opportunity for you as an agent if that's the route that you want. And this is not just for anyone that wants just to do it full time. You can also do it part time, and there are ways to do it. So if you're a broker and you work through an agency, independent from a health plan, you can do this on a part time and still be able to have a good side income. Compensation is great, and we'll talk about the compensation and how it works in a minute, but so that's the next step. So you have the license, you get your steps, and why do you want to be in insurance? Like I said, so it's a career path, it's a professional career path. You can literally have a whole lifestyle and lifetime into this particular insurance sales, and ultimately retire from it. And if you're good and you have other skills, I mentioned high school, I always say this when I do interviews, some people that actually are agent, they can have a high school, some people can have, a master's degree. It varies. That has nothing to do with the fact that you can get a license. You can get a license with, background in education, and the higher you have a good, education, the better for you in terms of opportunities. Because if a job comes into a management role at a helpline level and a career level, you want to be able to match the ability or the requirements for that position, and therefore apply for it and you'll have a better chance and shot at it if you had an additional, college degree or beyond that. So that's just the opportunity for that. Now, but the minimum requirement really to sell is the license, the state license. And, like I said, you pass, there's a child support up, the application of the state, they do a criminal background, that's for the fingerprint, make sure that there's no problems, I guess history, criminal history, felonies and that stuff. And once you clear that, then, most of the people actually will know in advance, if they have a problem or not, and they'll apply because the application will clearly state, the certain requirements. And therefore, if you're not feeling that that's something that you want to go pursue, you're not going to do it. But people usually would do it because we hope that everybody's doing good. And ultimately, when you go in and you apply, you get your license, you're good. So your potential revenue, your potential compensation, depending on how you approach this. If you actually join a helpline direct, so you'll go on LinkedIn, on Indeed, you'll find that there are so many jobs: Medicare representative, sales agents, field reps, Medicare sales, licensed benefit associate, licensed benefit specialist. These are all the same. Marketing representative, they're the same, different titles for the same role, more or less. And the role is really identify, educate, and enroll people in the health plans and their health plan packages and offerings. So you can apply to any one of those health plans, national plans, local plans, all are recruiting all the time. Health plans typically have, a diversified portfolio of agents. So they have a group that is a captive, they have usually a group that is a telesales, and they have also a group that is a broker, force. So these different, elements or different teams basically are out there in the community helping folks that are qualified for the health plans products to actually join into and enroll into the products. So the potential is, like I said, vary depending if you do a telesales versus you do a broker versus you do a captive. Also, in terms of what kind of compensation, is it salary base? Is it base plus commission? Is it only commission? And so depending on the role you select, some telesales are strictly just paid in a salary, maybe a little bit of a commission side. Captive roles are the more balanced ones, if you want to call it that way, because they start at a very decent base salary. At least in the New York market, some sales representatives start from $55,000 to $75,000 based on experience, if they already have sales experience, so on. But if you actually are brand new to Medicare sales, for example, which is the top sales agent driver in the communities, you can start from 45 to 50. That's kind of base in most of the plans, base salary plus your benefits and all the stuff. And then there's a commission structure, and that varies from plan to plan. Now, these types of commissions are, while they're structured by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, if you're a captive, the health plan may structure the compensation differently because they do give you the base salary first. So that's the first thing. Now, so you start as a captive, you already got a guaranteed base and compensation package. So that's good, number one. Number two, you have your potential earning as a commission structure. And the tiered commission structure, sometimes they give you a flat rate, so you get, $250 to $300 an application. Each enrollment, you'll get paid for $250, providing that enrollment stays within the plan for more than 90 days. There is a regulation that if a member joins the plan and drops from the plan within 90 days, there is no commission. There's a chargeback rule, so the money gets taken back. Some plans even eliminate the chargeback period, and basically they just wait after 3 months and you get a straight pay. But if you actually choose to be a captive, you have your base and you have your commission structure. If they give you a flat rate, it means that every app, and usually have a target that you have to attain, that's your job requirement. So it's 10 enrollments a month, 15 enrollments a month, depending on how many products you sell, things like that, and what state. But if you have that kind of opportunity, you're basically getting $200 or $300 per application. So let's say you get 10 is your target for a month at $200, that's your salary. That's your commission. So a couple of thousand plus your base, that's it, month after month. If you choose to, and then of course, the more experience you have, that base salary goes up. So from 50, I know agents in the community that are making 75 to 80 base to start. plus their commissions. And if you're at that level, typically you are a higher, capacity salesperson, so you're actually a high performer. So typically your enrollments a month will be over 25 to 30 a month enrollments. This isn't just regular seasons, and we'll talk about the seasons more in details. And then as you go into different seasons, the annual election period, which is the time frame where everybody can enroll into a Medicare plan, usually the commissions are higher and the volumes of sales are higher, so people make some serious dollars within that time frame. So again, if you're looking at a change of career or an improvement or a side gig, this might be something you'll be interested in. And I can tell you personally, I've made quite a bit of thank God good compensation and income over the years doing this exact particular trade. So I've been in sales all my life, done this over 25 years, started as an agent, and as you move up the ladder, you still have your pays, you still have your compensation, you still have commissions and your overrides and things like that. So it is an actual good, lucrative and opportunity for anyone that wants to actually live a decent life. And of course it is not easy. I mean, it's sales, so there is targets, there's performance, there's opportunity of not having a job if you don't perform. This is if you're a captive. But again, if you're in sales, we talked about you have to have motivation, you have to be always following your targets and goals, so you will make it. And that's it. So as we say sometimes, if you're not making your goal, you're not going to make the full yearly base anyways, because you're not going to be there for a whole year as an employee. So the key here is you got a promise of making $50,000 or $75,000, as a base, provide in a year, providing you did a whole year. And if you're going to make it the whole year, ultimately did your target, which means you're already ahead of that. So the potential earning for a new person into a Medicare space insurance sales is literally over 100,000 just to start. And it is, like I said, anyone can do it. You can do it on part-time. You can do it when you retire. You can do it if you're going to college. You can do it a lot of ways. And I'm going to give you guidance as to how you can go about these things. And, while I don't endorse any particular health plan or any particular agency or any particular school for that matter, I will just share with you some generics so you can actually inquire about these opportunities. But you can also call me direct, and the number is actually on the screen. And at a later time will text me, and I can get you the actual information, at least for New York and Jersey and Pennsylvania. I can help with those states. I'm actually licensed in those and I work with them. But if you need help with other states, we have connections across the nation, and we can make sure that you have, the access to those. And of course, some of the sites that are online, they actually service all the 50 states. So if you're in Nebraska, if you're in California, you can still actually just select the state, the license type, and you apply for it. You go to school there, you take the courses, you get your examination again, you pass the school, you apply for the state exam, and you get your examination. Another thing with the license, once you have it, you don't need to actually keep taking states and states and states. You can do a non-resident license in all the other states by paying the fee and applying as such, non-resident. So I am licensed in New York. I want to work in Jersey. I don't want to do a state exam in Jersey. I go to the Jersey site. I apply for a non-resident license in Jersey. I pay the fee, and now I get a second license number for that. So now I have two agency and two license numbers for two separate states. I move to Pennsylvania, or I want to work in Pennsylvania, I can do the same. And you can have all those, and when you have your NIPR, account or NIPR, you can literally have multiple licenses, listed on there. And that's just to be personally as an individual license. Now, if you start an agency, we're going to talk about agencies and how it works and how they work, how the affiliations apply, and so on and so forth. That gives you more instructions as to how to approach that. So, again, compensation-wise, as a captive, potentially over 100. As a matter of fact, as a head of sales and multiple health plans, the typical, compensation structure that I've, put in place, or at least the plans have put in place and approved to give somebody access and become an agent, typically guarantees the first year about 125 to 150,000 if you do your goals as as designed for that particular annual sales period. So if you're interested and it sounds like 6 digits is a good place to go, we can talk about that. You can send me a message on YouTube, or you can send it, to the address suggestions at iHealthRadioUSA.com, or simply call the number on the screen, and I'll be more than happy to guide you and help you as to what choices you might have. Now, you can work also through agencies. So that was the work through captive, and the captive role as a field agent. And there's a captive as a telesales, and so you can work through a call center type, which is contracted with health plan or health plans, or you can work directly for a health plan that has their own call center. So typically, health plans do mailing campaigns and so on and so forth, and they need to have an actual sales call center available. So when people inquire and want to enroll, or at least get educated on the phone, they can get, some live agents that can help them and guide them. And these are licensed benefit specialists or agents that actually can, get through the process, but they cannot be hired unless they have the license. So step one, pre-licensing. Step two, get state examination, and then you get into a health plan opportunity. And if you get through the process of interviewing and stuff like that, and you make it, you will be able to get a career path and get started. Now, if you excel, like I said, there's opportunities from being an agent. As I started as an agent, moved to manager, director, VP, chief, all the different levels in the sales, hierarchy, did that. And the way to do it is really just to work hard and smart. As I had said before, it's the combination of both. So you have to put the time, but you also have to put the strategy and the tactics to help you get a lot more success and build your actual path towards, whatever targets that you set up for yourselves. Now, the other option now is not to work as a captive. You don't work for a health plan direct. You work with a health plan, but as an actual agency, or through an agency, or an actual FMO. So let me break that down. So you can you can start your own agency, which means you and maybe a couple of people have your own direct contract with a health plan, and you basically have few licensees within that particular team, and you sell the products for the health plan. Some health plans may offer this opportunity. I actually did it, at a plan where I had direct contract with direct agencies. I called them independent marketing organizations, and they sign direct contracts. They're independent. They don't work for anybody else directly with the plan, and their agents are affiliated directly. Their principal person gets overrides, and if they sold, also they get commissions. And so that's how it works. And I will actually break down the commission structure for the brokers, because they are different from actually the health plan commissions. Health plans commissions vary. They go, like I said, the base plus the tiered, and some plans give you a flat rate, some plans give you different tiers, and the higher you sell, the more membership you have enrolled in a particular month, the more your commission structure gets better and better and more attractive. So an example, your first 5 apps will be at $50, the next 5 will be at $100, the next 10 will be at $200, the next 10, so now you're like over 20, and then over 20 will be at $300. In some seasons, that number can literally double, and you have plans that actually have commission structures that up to $500 to $600 per enrollment. In addition to their base salary, in addition to everything else, if they actually sold 50 or 100, enrollments in a particular, month, especially in the annual election period, that's a lot of money. And I personally know of agents and reps in both captive and brokers that actually making a lot more than that enrollment count per season or per month. And some average reps are making 40, 50 enrollments in a month. And in the season of AEP, they might even make 200 enrollments, and that's basically from October 15th to December 7th. Not a lot of weeks, but if they concentrate their efforts, they have the right offerings, they can really bang out a nice number of enrollments and have a great performance and a great season, and therefore have a nice hefty check, when they get paid, a couple, weeks later. So anyone can do it. You have to obviously have the sales, personality. I mean, it's sales is not for you. You might not be able to succeed in this. But if you do have the pitch, you have the personality, it's a drive, you don't fear pressure, you like to be out there, you can talk to people, you're, prospecting, and we'll talk, in the show, which is specific to sales world. We will talk more about tactics and the different aspects of how you become a better salesperson. We'll also go over the SMART objectives. We'll talk about success formulas, how to open doors, how to close, how to handle objections and do all that stuff. And while it'll be generic, for sales in general, we'll be actually specifically focusing more in the Medicare sales and health, insurance sales. So that being said, going back to commissions and an opportunity. As a broker, like I said, you can be an agency. That's one. Or you can work through an agency that works through an FMO. So there are national organizations referred to as field marketing organizations. They're scrutinized as well, and they are, obviously they have to meet certain criteria to qualify as such. But if an agency, and there are a few of them nationals, not a lot, but there are a handful of them that operate in most of the states. And when you work through them as an agent, you get assigned either directly to the FMO or through a sub-agency, and they have multi-levels. You can have a general agency, you have a general agency, an SGA, senior general agency, you can have an MGA. So you have different levels, and ultimately the FMO is the top. And the way it works, the FMO signs a contract with one plan or multiple plans, and they get an actual admin fee to operate. And then they basically, anybody that is downstream from them, they'll get paid directly through the plan or through the actual FMO, and depending on the type of contract they have with that plan or plans. And then the individuals working through them, for every sale they make, they get their commission that is already set by CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicare Services. And then ultimately the agencies, on top, in the upline, get certain, overrides, in terms of their compensation. So an agent or general agent principal can make override on their agents, but that doesn't take away from any money that the agents are making themselves. So if you're making a commission for one enrollment, your commission is still whole. The money that goes as an override is not coming from your commission, it's going from the actual admin fee that is given from the plan to the agency or to the FMO. So that being said, let's talk about what is the commission structure that is set by the Centers for Medicare and Medicare Services. Every year, there is an actual compensation memo that comes up, from the CMS, and basically it depicts the type of commissions and the maximums every plan can pay. And they're standard and they vary by state. Most of the states have a certain number. Some states have exceptions and maybe higher payments than others. That's because the premiums and the care maybe in those areas could be a little bit more, but at the end of the day, those rates are set by the CMS, and they're the ones who actually dictate. Now, there are two types of commission, there's a few types of commission structures that they have. They have for anybody that's new to Medicare. So you're turning 65, as a senior, someone is turning 65, someone had disability over 24 months, they become eligible for Medicare. We talked about Medicare basics the other day for Senior Health Show. And then those folks will actually join the plan for the first time. And again, as we deep dive in the Senior Health series, we'll talk more about when they can enroll and all the stuff, and we'll be touching back and forth depending on the actual show. We will be touching on some similar topics. So when we talk with the seniors and about the seniors and the senior health, we'll talk about the seasons. So if you're a senior or an actual consumer or prospect, you will learn about all this. But on the flip side, your agents also will be learning about that and how it operates in terms of training to produce the best potential scenario for you as a consumer. But if you're interested in being on the other side of the spectrum, which is the sales side of it, the enrollment side of it, the actual agency and the insurance side of it, then there is a regulation that you need to understand, and you will be able to enroll people pretty much all year long, depending if they qualify or not. But each one of those enrollments, vary in are pretty much bucketed in different, groups. The first group is anyone that is new to Medicare, meaning they just never had a plan, they just got 65, they got the red, white, blue card, they're new. All right, so there's a rate for them, and that rate is high. And anyone that is in the plan, let's say they were in the plan for a few months or a year or 2 years, they're 67, 68, and they're not happy with the current plan that they have or the product that they actually enrolled for the last year, they get a chance, to disenroll from that plan and re-enroll for a new plan. And if you facilitate that as an actual agent or broker, you will get paid on that. Now, that's a renewal rate, so it's kind of like half of the original rate. And so for anyone that is plan to plan, they get an actual half of what that massive or major, payment plan, that is the payment commission structure that is given to us when we enroll someone for the first time. And then that's the standard rate. But anyone that is new to Medicare, or we also refer to them as aging in or aging to Medicare. So they're getting into the Medicare. Those, they have the higher standard rate of payment per person per enrollment. Now, there's also a residual component with the actual Medicare sales commission. So for example, if you are getting into the sales world, if you work as a captive, most of the plans will give you the salary and your tiered commissions, and that's about it. Maybe they throw in a little bit of a retention bonus there. That's great. Sometimes, and it's a minimal number. Sometimes it's recurring for a year or two, but it's not substantial. It's not a lot of dollars that we're talking about. It could be $10, could be $12, could be $15, but it's not a lot per member, and it's only for that member, providing they meet certain criteria, being in the plan for a certain period of time. However, if you actually are selling as an independent agent, a broker through an agency or an FMO, then you get residuals. You have the initial year, and you have 6 more additional years of residual income. So technically, if you are a prospective broker or agent, you'll think about, well, I'm going to make money now, but I'll still make money, for the next 6 years, after actually the first year. Yes, you will. And actually, that is an opportunity. That's why people actually like to be brokers or independent agents, because they have the ability to make that. So year 2, you're compounding. Year 3, you have a couple of years that actually have residual income for, and therefore you have a guaranteed kind of income month after month that you already worked for a couple of years back. Now, again, that will end eventually. So if you're not keeping up, and you're not replenishing your amounts and your base, and adding on, you're going to be like, plateau and eventually dissipate, and all your residuals will dissipate after 6 to 7 years from initial time, right? So we don't want that. So anyone that joins this particular venture and becomes an agent or broker, you want to have that facility, that ability to actually go from, initial to residual renewals over years, but then every year you continuously doing that, so you have an actual good base. And I have experienced some serious, very successful agents and brokers, and they actually can lock in easily a good $20,000 a month from their current and residual income, which some of them, they work a lot less, and sometimes they don't work as hard, they work seasons, but because they have enough. And the way they do it is not like pushing people into enrollments and things like that. As a matter of fact, as a broker, you're not selling one specific plan and you're only pushing one plan. You actually typically have multiple plans offerings. So therefore, when you talk to a prospect in the kitchen or at a seminar or at a diner, whatever you meet them, or at the office, you'll be able to actually present a variety of things, a variety of products offerings in the marketplace from different health plans, and based on their need and what product they need, they feel good about, you will be able to assign them an actual plan. And when you give them that plan and they agree to enroll in it, typically they're very pleased because they got what they wanted. They had all the options in front of them, so they're not blindsided. They're not being pushed by you, steered one way versus the other. Because there's no reason for you to actually push them onto a plan that is not good for them. You will give them the best option that is, based on their needs and requirements. And if you did that, and you did also all the good stuff as a salesperson, which is following up, do your 30, 60, 90 days follow-up, 60 days, send birthday cards, check on every year, check with them, hey, is there anything that changed in your life? Would you like to do this? And we'll talk more about these details with the sales, world, shows and series. So again, if you did all that, your retention rate is high, your people are going to stay with you for the longest time. They'll be very pleased. They'll be happy to actually be your clients. And again, if they're happy, they have other people in their realm and their world. They're socializing at senior centers. They're socializing in personal life. They have family members, who they can actually refer to you. And we'll talk about that in the importance of after the sale, after the close, what happens next in sales world. So that being said, that's kind of like in the concept. So the actual rates, so just to give you an indication what those are. So in 2020, for someone to join a health plan that has both the Medicare, the medical and the Part D together, MAPD, and the national rate is $510, and some states vary. So Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and DC are $574 per enrollment, and then California and New Jersey are the highest at $636 per enrollment, and Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands are $350. So again, like depending on the state, those are your standard rates. So it doesn't matter where you sell, you can sell across states. If you sell in the national realm, that's your $510. If you sell in PS, Connecticut or DC, that's your $574. And if you're in California and Jersey, that's the highest, $636. And then Puerto Rico, US version is $350. So that's for someone that is new to Medicare, enrolling in a plan that is combining both the Part D and the actual medical components together. If you're enrolling in a Part D only plan, your standard rate for 2020 is $78. If you're doing a renewal or plan to plan, someone that was in plan A moving to plan B and you're helping them making the transition, you're getting a little bit less than that payment that I just mentioned. So your commission for national is $255. Your Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and DC is $287. Your California and New Jersey is $318, and Puerto Rico, Virgin Island is $175. And then PDP, just Part D drugs only, that will be $39. So again, when you think about it, if you signed 10 people, that's $2,550 in 2020, for people that were already on the plan. So 10 people were in different plans, they're not happy because whatever reason, service, this, that, the other, and they want to change. You facilitate, you help them. That's how much you're going to make just transiting them from one plan to the other. But if you do prospecting and do good research and canvassing and do some nice, approach in the marketplace and look for new folks that are turning into 65 and turning into Medicare age, you can help them into a plan of their choice, and then you're making a lot more money. Now, the reason these compensations are set, so it's not like people will have any incentive to keep moving people around, because the rate for renewal and residual is the same. So it's not like if I'm moving from this plan to this plan, okay, I can get more money. No, you can't. So the government knows that. The regulatory, process is very simple. They understand these things can happen, and so therefore, there is no incentive for you to keep moving people. That's why you want to give them the best plan, and for the consumer, they feel good. Because you are, as their agent, you're not going to be playing games with them and their health. As we said, health is the most important thing that everyone has. Without health, we don't really have a life. We can be miserable. Things are going to be bad for us. So we want to make sure that these folks that we enroll, these prospects, the consumers that also potentially watching this, we want to give them the best of everything that they need. And while we help them, we can help ourselves. And CMS has set for us a good compensation to do that. And before we can get into it, we need to be licensed and follow the strict rules and knowledge, base that we need to be able to meet this demand. So again, all the stuff that is happening for us before we become agents is for us to actually know the rules, the regulations, the laws, the penalties, everything, as to how, if you did something wrong, what happens, what the ramifications, what the insurance world is, all the different things. And then even when you get the state exam, that's just part one, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Once we get past the state exam, what's the next steps? But I wanted first just to summarize a little bit the commissions. So again, we talked about captives, base salary, commission structures that is tiered, typically over $100,000 to $150,000 year one, guaranteed. If you are telesales, your base is a little lesser, potentially less commission because you're not really doing any sales in the field. You're actually more order taking on the phone, so you're not doing any work in the field. You get into work, already through marketing campaigns. So marketing does all the work. They generate calls for you. You basically stand by on the phone. It's a little easier. It's cushier. You're not in the cold. You're not in the heat. You're not in any dangerous situation in the community out there doing stuff. You're not in the public. You're not doing presentations. But the call's coming to you. So it's cold leads. You get them, and you just and a lot of times these are qualified. So basically, you just kind of take the order. All right. So therefore, sometimes it's valued at a lesser, and the commissions can be a little less. Now, the requirements are the same. You still have to go through the same licensing. You still have to have the same process to be actually an expert at it. Same training, same requirements, whether you're captive or telesales. If you are a broker, as independent agency or through an FMO, the commission, there is no base, there's no salary. Your opportunity is pure commission. But if you actually do your work and you're actually out there selling, making sure that you're helping other people, not even think about it selling, helping people stay healthy. And by helping them, you help yourself. Basically, that's a simple way to look at it. And if you did that correctly, you will get the success that you need. You'll get all the opportunity that you need. You're going to have the satisfaction of helping a lot of folks. That's great. And you'll see this. When you help people and their families, they'll look at you like, they're the best thing that happened to them. They give you hugs. They always welcome you in their home. They treat you like, a king or a queen, right? And that's important, because that's the way you think about it. So your consumers are your parents, your grandparents. You're not going to play games with them. You're not going to do something wrong with them. You want to give them the best. But if you did that, the satisfaction is there, both morally and physically, in terms of your compensation. So you'll get all the good stuff back. All right. And not only that, if they're very happy with you, you're going to benefit from all the referrals and all their circle and their world and their social, gatherings, because they can invite you over. They can refer people to you. They can talk to their doctors. Their doctors can send you patients. They can't steer, but they might recommend you to actually talk to some of the patients that may qualify. And so a lot of stuff, good stuff can happen, providing you do it by the book, you do it right, and you do it with great appeal, and you'll enjoy it. And if you're enjoying that, you're gonna have the satisfaction to make a lot of money and really be compensated for good work. Now, that's the actual breakdown in terms of pre-licensing, licensing, state exam, commission structures, potential earning. Now, can you apply direct for health plans? Yes. Again, LinkedIn, Indeed, plenty of opportunities. If you're literally dialing right now, you go in, you register, or if you have an account, you open it up, you go to jobs, you're going to see, you do market representative, Medicare sales, a lot of them in all the states. Okay. And of course, if you have the education or the experience and you want to go to the next level, that's a good entry point. And when you're in and you can prove yourself, and there's an opportunity within any of those plans, there is an opportunity for you to go to management. Maybe other components. Some people go to special events, and they still sometimes require a license. You can do customer service. There's other things within. And depending on your background and education. So let's say you have a master's degree while you're actually doing this for a couple of years. You get a master's degree in, nursing. Well, now you can be a care manager. Okay, so we have care managers, that actually help, our members, in health plans, and give them, manage their care. I mean, the reason we call managed care, we're going to talk about MCO World, different show series that is going to be taking us behind the scenes on how a managed care organization operates and what the different departments, the components, the processes, the operations. When we go there, we'll talk about those. But there's a lot. If you have a background in IT, health plans run with IT tech and technology behind, all the operations. And so you would need to be there. If you are a business, manager, type of, a graduate, or a project manager type of graduate, you can actually get that there. If you're an accounting degree, health plans do actually have finance departments and actuarial and things like that you can actually, jump into. So the career path is plenty. All right, and you can make it from a representative to a president, CEO of a plan if that is what you want. So again, success is on you. As I said the other day, you dream of success, you go after it. That's period. So now you got your state exam. What's the next step? A lot of plans, or even if you just go on the independent route, they will require certain, additional education basics. So first of all, you need to know your government programs if you're going to do health insurance sales specifically. And so if it's ACA, so the Affordable Act, Care Act. If you want to do the Medicare, you need to know your Medicare ABCs and beyond what we just yesterday or a couple of days ago was just the ABCs as a very, very generic and general overview. We'll get deep dive in each one of those, letters and break it down. But you will have to become an expert at this, and you'll have the tools as you become an agent. You'll have presentation tools, you have kits, you have access, to a lot of data and information from a lot of ways. You have platforms that you can use for enrollments and quoting and comparing, products and so on and so forth. But before you get into any of that, you need to also get some certification steps. And a lot of plans will demand certain things. So one of the most common things that health plans might require or request is an AHIP certification. It's an annual certification through a third-party agency, a national agency, a national body that does, education and healthcare. And one of their certification is about Medicare, all rules, regulations, Medicaid, marketing regulations, fraud, waste, and abuse, all the different things that actually CMS needs to understand and make sure that you as an agent has full comprehension and full understanding of. And after that, at that point, if you're certified, that's an annual thing. So every year, it's usually around June, you'll get an actual notification. Your health plan gives you a certain time frame to actually get into it. If you're already in a health plan, they probably would even subsidize the cost for it, and there is a cost to it. This year is like $175. That cost may vary year by year. Some plans will even give you a discount for it. They have preferred rates. Some plans even will subsidize if you have a high performance type of value, right? So there's opportunities there, but that license is very important. Some plans may still not actually demand this AHIP certification, but they will get you through a through a rigorous process of learning the Medicare basics, the Medicare 101, and going through the CMS regulations, the marketing guidelines, the do's and don'ts, and the fraud, waste, and abuse, and go through the HIPAA and all that stuff within that course. So instead of going through that, some plans choose to just use the agency, the AHIP, certification. Makes it a lot simpler, get you in. Some plans will demand that you will have that certification before you start with them. Sometimes it's a condition for you to get, hired. Some of the conditions for you to get hired also are having access to a vehicle, having a valid driver's license, things like that, because this role does require transportation from A to B, from one appointment to the other, to do events, to sometimes you have to have supplies in your car. The companies do not provide vehicles. It's not like pharmaceutical sales, so you'll have to have your own transportation. Now, you don't have to have a car, but I guarantee if you're in a metropolitan area, you might have access to trains, but sometimes it's still difficult to actually go from one border to the other, for example, in New York City. So again, these are some recommendations, but some plans have their own rules and regulations, and depending on the sales department division, they have their own list of things that they would demand from you if you wanted to join their force as a captive agent. But if you're an independent, you're independent. You basically meet your criteria of license. If the helpline requires an AHIP certification, you'll have to do that. Then you basically do a contracting thing. You sign basically a certain contract with your agency or the FMO, and then basically you're under the downline of that particular FMO. You're affiliated with the health plan or multiple health plans at that point. You'll have to go through each certification for each health plan specifically. So if you have some of the nationals, they have standardized certification portals. You go in there and you get a code from your agency or your FMO. And once you have that, you'll log it in. You create a register, an account, and then basically you go in there and you start doing your work. And there's contracting agreements. There's different steps. Then there's also their benefit package plans. So you have to learn not only the rules and stuff through the AHIP certification, but you also have to learn each plan's offering. So if they have 5 different plan offerings that they have, so each one of those. You need to know the benefits. What is the copay? What is the co-insurance? What is the other? How much is the co-insurance for laboratory? Whatever. So all that stuff you need to learn. Any other benefit that they have that may be unique from one plan to the other. And the difference from plan A to plan B within a similar or one carrier. And then if you have multiple carriers that you're actually going to represent, you need to do the same steps over and over and over for all of them. And then you're ready to sell for all of them. Now, you don't have to do them all at once. You can do one. You can do 2, you can do a couple of them and then build the others. But typically, if plans, if you sign up with an FMO, an agency, they want you to actually literally sign up for all the plans that they have, because their agreements with the health plans dictate that they have to make certain types of enrollments per season, or per year, to meet the criteria of to keep that status of an FMO or an agency, right? So again, those are some of the things that you have to consider to do this. And again, once you get your certification, now you're certified, you're ready to sell, and you learn the stuff, you're probably going to go through some sales training, some events training, some basic training within, and the company policies and stuff like that, going through a regular employee policy. That's as if you were an employee W-2. If you are a broker, they might not require you to do that, but your FMO or agency might require you to do certain things. A lot of these health plans would actually give the opportunity to brokers and agents to come into their facilities and conduct trainings for them. I personally, I've done that. So we have every year broker trainings, and so we'll invite them, we'll go to them, and we'll bring them over. We'll do a full training on our products and make sure that they understand everything. If there's any electronic platforms that they have to use, we have to show them how to use it, so they can do electronic enrollments and any processes to transmit their applications, all that good stuff. So again, that being said, that is the actual process, that is the actual opportunity. And now, with all that being said, who qualifies? I said it could be anyone, but again, if you're in sales, if you're selling something on the side, you're selling real estate, you're selling books, you're selling cars, you're selling something, and you want to add more income to it, this is a great opportunity. A lot of people are selling life insurance. They're selling PNC products, so the home insurance and business insurance and car insurance. This could be something additional that they can add to their portfolio. So if you're one of those folks and you think like, hey, well, this sounds good. I'm making over 100,000, well, I can do this on the side. Now, you might not be able to make 100,000 if you're doing a couple of days a week. You could, if you're good and you have enough, client base, you can certainly do that. But typically, it would take some time to build your network, to build your, opportunities. And we'll talk about that in sales world, about how to go about it, where to go, what channels do you use, and, the different, opportunities that are out there for Medicare sales. So and any other sales that so insurance, like general, not commercial, but like government programs like the ACA, like the known as Obamacare. So those things, there's some sales to aspect to them. There's Child Health Plus, how to go about that. Although those don't qualify for commissions and there's not much, payout for. There's some commission to some of these products, but they're not really high. The best opportunity remains with Medicare sales. I don't think that's going anywhere. As a matter of fact, there are millions of Medicare recipients and Medicare eligibles coming into the rolls of Medicare every month. And everybody turns 65 at a point in their lives. So we're not running out of business, and seniors, and people that are aging into Medicare, you will have the opportunity to have a lot of good agents out there. And again, we'll talk in senior health about what to be aware and, how to avoid, all the bad agent, flavor. So we will talk about that and what is a good agent versus bad agent, what to avoid, where you actually have to see, like, maybe I'll stop, talking. This is just in general. And then on the flip side, if you're an agent, make sure you do the right thing. Always legally, ethically, follow the rules, regulations, everything by the book, no cutting corners. You are going to be helping people to get their health in order. And if you do it wrong, you might affect their health, their life, and their families, their financials. So you got to do the right thing at all times. So with that message, I will conclude this particular, show, and hope it was interesting. I hope it was a little bit clarifying to what is a broker, how it works, and the different opportunities in terms of compensation and the potential. And from a consumer perspective, at least you get an idea of how the other side works. So when you're talking to an individual, that is an agent in front of you, you know more or less, what they have to go through before they actually can present to you, and that's all there is. So again, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the channel, and again, feel free to send your suggestions, and we will have, again, additional discussions in terms of the broker world, and we will invite different broker agencies that can do their own recruiting. We'll invite different health plans to discuss their products and how they do it, and we will actually present their offerings, so therefore you might be interested. You can actually talk to them directly or talk to the FMOs, the agencies that we'll have on the show, and they'll be able to assist you with their particular offerings, and hopefully it'll be a good match and everybody's happy. So my mission is accomplished. I'm bringing everybody together here. That's what this platform is about, and sharing the content and the information and the knowledge. That being said, Hurricane H here, iHealth Radio and the iHealth channel, and this was a first show of the Broker World series, and so stay tuned for the next one. I will be coming up very shortly, and then what I'm doing right now, I am actually doing different shows, and introducing each one of them with their topic, their theme, and their objective. And then once we go through that whole series, introductions, then we'll just go back to the routine, and they'll be on the schedule, and you'll be able to actually know when those particular shows will be aired, and you'll be able to listen to them and follow them. But if you miss the live feed, it's on the channel. You can always do it. It will be on podcast, and it will be also recorded and replayed on the radio over time. So that being said, again, thank you for watching, and have a great night. Have a great weekend.